Hello everybody, my name is Rainy Angel, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about my out-of-body experience that I had a few nights ago. But before I get into that, I wanted to show you guys something that I got. I went to Build-A-Bear. Well, I went for my daughter because she wanted to get a bluey stuffy for her little sister. But I got Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. His fake wings and little tail. And I got him some boots. Isn't he so cute? I love him so much. And I got to put a little heartbeat in him. But you can feel it. And then he makes little growling noises. Yeah, I was really excited about him. The movie was really good. I saw the live action one. I actually never seen the cartoon. But anyways, this experience was... I was there on the other side for probably about an hour, which is the longest time I've been there, like, consciously. And once again, I was in control of mostly everything that I was seeing. And in this experience, it was very different from other ones because I am, like, as time goes on and as I have more experiences, I gain more control and get rid of fear. In this experience, I turns fears into things that are not fearful, kind of like turning them into humor or something funny. I got to actually feel pain, like tactile, like physical pain with something that I grabbed. I changed my eye color, which was interesting, and I attempted to get out of the construct or leave Earth. I was also seeking the Seraphim, and yeah, let's get into it. Went to bed at my regular time, woke up at about 4 a.m., went back to sleep, and I set the intention on leaving my body, and I just stayed as aware for as long as I could. And it's funny because right before I went back to sleep, I was not that tired. I was like, oh, I want to do this, but I'm really not that tired. But whatever, I'm just going to stay aware. And also, right before I went into it, I knew that my brain, or my reality, I should say, was kind of chaotic at the time. Like my mind was just kind of all over the place. So I knew that when I came out into my dimensional space, I would see, it would probably be kind of chaotic, and I'd probably see so much random things. But I was like, whatever. So I set the intention, and I stayed aware for probably about a minute. Not gonna lie, like, because I actually started to get tired when I closed my eyes again. I was like, oh, I'm surprised I'm actually falling asleep. Becoming aware, then falling into sleep. Becoming aware, then falling into sleep. And I vaguely remember coming out, like actually leaving my body. But when I was out, and I knew it. No sleep paralysis or anything, by the way. You don't always have to go through sleep paralysis, in my experience. Especially when you just wake up in the middle of the night and go back to sleep. Your body, it's way easier for your soul to exit, like, it's like effortlessly. It's like, oh, and it doesn't take that long. I came out and I was right in front of my dresser, and immediately I knew I was out. I was consciously aware of it, like very conscious, and I immediately did the focused on my hands because I wanted to bring in the awareness even more. I'd say the realness of it all was about 80%, like more than usual. So that was cool. And I'll tell you guys the technique I used, which really helped. And I had to do it multiple times throughout this experience. I was just looking at my hands, but I wasn't just looking at my hands. I was focusing on the lines on my hands and counting each little line. Like I was like 1, 2, 3. I was like really focusing. Basically just studying every little detail of my hands. I would just say, I command to be conscious. I command to be conscious. And then I would just move on. I went out into my hallway. I always like to slither. I just naturally do that, whether I'm conscious of it or not. And again, I focused on my hands because I wanted to bring more awareness in. I was like, I command to be conscious. I command to be conscious. It was almost like it was a command, almost like angry, but not angry. It was just like, I know I'm my authority sort of thing. While at the same time, I thought of a fear of mine as soon as I passed the bathroom. So if you guys had seen the original movie, The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick, I watched that movie a lot when I was a kid. I watched a lot of scary movies as a kid. And I found some of those fears and images and characters in my dimensional space. So I'm going past the bathroom and I kind of look at the corner of my eye. And if you guys remember, if you've seen that movie, it's the original one from like the 70s. There's a scene where the lady, like the dead naked lady's crawling out of the bathtub, and that terrified me as a kid. Like I always thought that was so scary because she'd be like rotting and all gross looking. And I'll insert an image here if you guys have not seen it. It's honestly a really good movie, and it's a really great book by Stephen King too. I looked kind of like, I was like, is she over there? You know what I mean? And I remembered, I was like, don't focus on it. It's not important. First of all, we're trying to get rid of fears here. And there was nothing over there. So I just kept going. And even as I was going down the hallway, I was like, oh, is she following me? And then I ignored it. And I just looked at my hands and I just kept on moving. So that thought was completely out of my mind at that point. And I got into the kitchen. This experience really showed me like how much I can control my reality. And on the left, I have my kitchen window, and I was like, I want to go outside. So I tried to go outside, and I'm just like bumping into the window, almost kind of like how a fly is just like hitting the window. And I remember thinking to myself, Rainy, think you can go through the window, like have the belief that you can go through this window. And as soon as I thought that, I went right through the window. You're in control of everything. Because here, you know you can't just go through a window, so you're kind of like in that earthly state of mind of I can't walk through walls. But once you realize, yes, I can walk through walls, you'll go right through it. So I went outside, and here in my waking life, or my human life, we found a pile of glass out in my yard, like a big pile of glass, like someone just like threw a vase or something, I don't know. And there I saw it in my dimensional space. Now, like as soon as I got out the window, I saw this glass. The only difference was as I got closer to the glass, they looked like silvery, prickly Christmas ornaments. And I wanted to grab one because I always wondered, like, can I feel physical pain, you know? So I grabbed one, and it was like like piles of these little silvery, prickly Christmas ornament looking things. And I grabbed the biggest one. It was like this big, and I grabbed it, and I could literally feel it poking into my skin, and it hurt. And I was like, okay. And it's funny because as I was doing that, Darius's voice came into my head and was like, you could feel it, taste it, touch it. And I was just like, threw it down. I was like, okay, that's enough of that. So, because basically when you're in your dimensional space and just out of your body, it's very physical, and you have all the 5 senses plus more. I'm just looking all around, and there's so much going on. Like I said, I knew my dimensional space was going to be pretty crowded, whatever. And a lot of it was coming from my subconscious, because some of this stuff I don't even realize. I'm like, what is that? Once again, I do this pretty much every single time I come out of my body in my dimensional space. I just feel the need at some point to start levitating and jumping on my roof. So I did that. And when I'm telling you that thought comes into your head and you want to do it and you command it to happen, you automatically do it. So I just thought, jump on roof, levitate up onto roof, and just effortlessly go up onto my roof. It's quite amazing, honestly. And then I jumped back down, and I felt the butterflies, whatever. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, let me find the Seraphim. Like, I've been wanting to contact him again. And at this time, I'm calling out to him, and it's like thoughts in my head, but it's like an audible voice. I'm like, Seraphim, Seraphim. Like, I don't know his name, so I'm just calling. And I see on the sidewalk in front of my house, like a black figure kind of appear there. Since there was so much going on, I couldn't see who it was, but it did look like a black hooded robed being. But I'm not sure if that was something I manifested in my dimensional space or if that was really him. They won't come into your space if you're really fearful. That I know. And I wasn't exactly fearful at all in this experience. When I did have some sort of fear, I turned it into something not fearful. Okay, so at this point, I think I went back into my body, and I actually remember opening my human eyes, and I was like in my room, and then I closed them again, and then it came back out. So I came back out into my room, went right back out into the kitchen, and this time I decided to go see my sister, and I was like, what is she doing? I wonder what she's doing. So I went in there, I walked in there and instantly an eerie, creepy vibe. I've seen this before when I was in the dream state, this exact thing that's about to play out. And it terrified me in the dream state. It was kind of like a stressful nightmare sort of thing. But this time, because I was in control and I knew that I could turn it into something great and loving, it wasn't scary. So I went in there and I could see one of her friends sitting on the bed, but she was facing her back towards me and staring at the window, like not moving at all. It was just weird, like weird, creepy vibes. And then my sister was facing me, sitting on the edge of the bed, but her hair was like draped down over her face and she was just like staring at the ground, and I was like, that's weird. And then as soon as she flipped her hair up, her teeth were all black. Oh, I've seen this before, it didn't scare me at all. I kind of thought it was funny, to be honest with you. And so what I did to turn this into something more pleasant is I was like, oh, Ocean, let me help you, hold on. I rubbed my hands on her teeth and they were all white. Like I felt like I was like a dentist cleaning her teeth or something. And then I just left. As soon as I saw the black teeth thing, I was like, oh, I know I've seen this before. So I left the house again. I went back up on the roof and I intended to get out of the construct or leave Earth just to see, what's going on. What does it look like, These things I have to see for myself. And I'm very open-minded to the fact that we live in a construct and this universe. But I feel like to really understand it and to believe it, like know it, I have to see it for myself. I went up on my roof and once again, I noticed that my awareness wasn't as strong. I stared at my hands and said, I command to be aware. I command to be conscious. And I said it like very powerfully. And as soon as I did that, more awareness came in and I was still very much present. And then I was like, okay, this is good. So I'm like looking up at the sky and I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to shoot up to the sky and just see what happens and just have the intent of exiting the construct or wherever. I'm going up, up, up. I go way above the clouds and there's still dimensional space stuff happening around me. Like I remember seeing a glowing green tower, like just glowing green tower going way, 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 way up, like with me. And I kind of thought it was annoying because I'm like more dimensional space stuff as far as I'm concerned. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know. If you guys have experienced that, let me know. But I just remember seeing all the clouds surrounding the tower and all around me, the night clouds. And then I remember I saw a clearing in the clouds. I'm looking up and I see this clearing of the clouds. The clearing was probably like this big, like enough for me to fit through. And through the clearing, all I could see is glowing blue light and like vaguely like these little sparkling lights. And I thought to myself, maybe galactic realm, but I wasn't 100% sure. I'm like, is this dimensional space stuff? Is this like, am I getting closer to like base reality? What's going on? At that point, I fell back into my body. So I was back in my room. I came out again, once again. And this time I decided to stay in my room and look in the mirror. So I'm looking in my full-length mirror and I'm looking at my face and it's so distorted, dude. Like my eyes, I have nystagmus, so they move like this. But as I'm looking in the mirror, my physical like features were moving around. Everything was like morphing and looked like liquidy. Thinking about it now, it could have been the mirror itself that was showing me that. I've heard in other people's experiences how when they touch the mirror, it like reverberates or it ripples, kind of like water. So I'm wondering if that's what I was seeing. So, and then I came over to my vanity mirror and I was like, you know what? I'm going to change the color of my eyes. I want to change it into blue. So I'm focusing on my eyes. Like I'm focusing on my eyeball, like this one specifically. And I'm staring right into it. And my eyes were not moving at all. My eyes were so still. No distortions in my face at this point. It was just my normal face and looking straight into my pupil. And I'm focusing on turning it blue. And I noticed as I'm doing that, my eye is turning a lighter brown, like lighter, lighter, lighter. And I'm like, oh, sweet. But instead of it turning blue, it turned like hazel and more green. So it turned green. And as soon as I saw green, it made me think of a frog when I thought of the frog, I saw like a little image of a cartoon frog, like right here next to my face. And then I woke up. It was a lot of fun, guys, and the longest experience I've had in my dimensional space, or ever. I was there for almost an hour. So somebody commented in one of my videos and asked me if having out-of-body experiences and practicing this method has changed my life. And at the time I told them, I was like, yeah, but not so much as learning how to love myself, like in my earthly life. I've already kind of had the idea and knowing that your thoughts create your own reality. But I'll be honest with you, I'm going to follow that up with, yes, it is changing my life. I already feel like, just with that experience of how instantaneously I can change things and morph things and mold them into the exact way that I want with just my thoughts, I feel like I can do that here in my human life. Because we live on Earth and we have linear time, it takes longer. You already know. Thought forms are physical and instantaneous, especially if you really are focused on them. Here, it's kind of the same thing, but it takes longer. Some things are easier to manifest here than others, but I'd say definitely, yeah, it is changing my life. The more that I practice this method, like, for the better. I've gotten rid of so many fears, and I still have like some like of my own personal like fears that I'm dealing with and demons that I deal with. But the magic of creating things with your mind is very fascinating. But that's all I got for you guys today. Say bye-bye, Toothless. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.